Hello. We know that there are many traditional Chinese festivals, such as the Spring Festival or the traditional Chinese New Year, celebrating the New Year, and the Mooncake Festival, celebrating the full moon, what we called 中秋节. Apart from the Chinese New Year, we probably consider the 中秋节 to be the most important traditional festival. But in the past, the Mooncake Festival was not necessarily that big, at least not in the Tang Dynasty, as evidenced by poetry. If you go through Tang poems, there are actually rarely any poems specifically written for this Mid-Autumn Festival. There were a lot of poems about the moon, but not about this particular day, which we now celebrate as a Mooncake Festival. So it's almost certain that 中秋节 became popular much later. In the Tang era, the most important traditional festival, also in the autumn, is probably the 重阳节, or Double Ninth Festival in English. It falls on the date of 9th of September in the lunar calendar. When we talk about traditional Chinese days, the dates always refer to the lunar calendar, which has about 1 or 2 months gap from the Western Gregorian calendar. So, for example, when we say the Mooncake Festival is 15th of August, or Dragon Boat Festival is the 5th of May, they both refer to the lunar calendar. This Double Ninth Festival is also based on lunar calendar. This year, in Gregorian calendar, it is actually tomorrow. So it's very appropriate for us to learn a poem about this important day today. Let me explain why this date has historically been so important. We know that Chinese people love to categorize almost everything into either yin or yang, a pair of widely contrasting qualities. In the number system, we see the odd number as yang, an even number as yin. For single digit, 9 is the biggest yang number. So it's kind of important. Now, if we have double nines for both day and month, the occasion would be even more special. Therefore, this date was made an important ceremonial day, the double yang date. Or we say 重阳. 重 here means double. So this day is called 重阳节. 节 is festival. There were many old traditions on 重阳节, such as to climb to the top of the mountain or climb high, what we say 登高. Usually it is high autumn when chrysanthemums, a popular autumn flower in China, blossom. So people usually would drink chrysanthemum wine and watch and admire a variety of colorful chrysanthemum flowers on display. This chrysanthemum, you drink wines and climb high. And when you drink fine wine, see beautiful flowers, or climb high, you would usually think of your families or friends if you are not together. So although nowadays we always associate the 中秋节 with missing families, in the past it was the Double Ninth Festival when people bring out such emotions freely. There were countless poems written on this subject on this day. Whenever you see the reference of climbing a mountain in the autumn, or chrysanthemum flowers or wine, chances are it is about this 重阳节. In modern days, for whatever reason, this day had lost its historical significance and was no longer formally celebrated until in 2013 it was designated the day for old people, or for respecting old people in China, in a way to reinvent this old festival and pay respect to the traditional Chinese culture. Anyway, today we are going to look at a poem written in the Tang Dynasty, without a doubt the best known on this subject, by the great poet Wang Wei. We have learned his 杂诗 before. 君自故乡来，应知故乡事。 来日绮窗前，寒梅著花未. He is Li Bai's contemporary and highly accomplished in many different kinds of art forms, including music, painting, and poetry. A real genius. This poem was written when he was still very young and when he was traveling in the capital Chang'an, seeking a career. His hometown was in the current-day Shanxi province, and because it was east of Huashan, a major mountain range near the capital, it was referred to as Shandong, the east of the mountain. Shan just means Huashan. It was the 9th of September, 九月九日, the Chongyang festival, and he remembered his hometown, his folks, and in particular, his brothers, and he wrote this poem. Its title is a bit long, but very straightforward. 九月九日忆山东兄弟. 九月九日is a date, 9th of September, or double 9th. 忆 is to remember, to think about. Shandong, we said already, is east of Huashan, where Wang Wei's hometown was. 兄弟, Xiong is the elder brother, and the Di is the younger brother. So 兄弟 together is a general term for brothers. This poem is about the poet missing his brother on the Chongyang festival. Let's read this poem together first. 独在异乡为异客，每逢佳节倍思亲。遥知兄弟登高处，遍插茱萸少一人。独 means alone, lone. 在 is at. 异 here means different, other. Something that doesn't belong to oneself. And xiang is village or place. So 异乡 together means somewhere outside of Wang Wei's own hometown. And likewise, 客 is guest. So 异客 is an improvised expression following the structure of 异乡, simply reinforcing the idea that the poet was a stranger in Chang'an, the capital, that he was only a guest from outside the capital. Wei means to be, to become. So together this line is saying that the poet himself is now alone in a foreign land and is an outsider person, an outsider guest. And we know on this day, on the occasion of Chongyang festival, families are supposed to be together. So this first line created a contrasting atmosphere, depicting a lone young man being only with himself, a bit miserable, and feeling lonely, which makes the next line more sincere and touching. Wang Wei said, 每逢佳节倍思亲. 每 means every time, every. 逢 is to come across. To is to get. 佳 is good. 节 is festival. So 佳节 refers to some good and happy festive days or occasions. 倍 means to double. 思 is to think about, to miss. 亲 means 亲人, families. The poet realized that he was lonely then, and his loneliness on this festive occasion made him miss the family even more, made him double miss his families. So Wang Wei said whenever it was a festival, he would double his missing thoughts of his hometown, his families. This is so true any culture and anywhere in the world. The joyfulness of festivities with families is in stark contrast with the loneliness if someone is only by him or herself on the occasion. Like many excellent lines in the Chinese poetry, this line, this 每逢佳节倍思亲, has become so widely known and often used whenever people want to express their thoughts of missing home and families, especially on days of whatever celebrations. Wang Wei wrote this universal human sentiment with such a truthful and honest language, like flowing right from his heart, plain and not at all decorated, that everyone who reads it can get it instantly without any barriers. Well, Wang Wei has achieved such overwhelming effect on this theme so elegantly, on his missing his families. There is really nothing more to add to this string of thoughts. So he quickly jumped out of it and chose another angle to capture more color of his feeling. He used his imagination. We see that imagination is a very common way of writing in poetry. And I guess it's the same for Chinese and Western poets. He imagined what his brothers were doing. Yao means far away. Zhi means to know. Deng means to climb. And Gao means high ground. Chu is a place. So he said he knew from far away that his brothers must be all climbing to the high grounds in his hometown. Of course they would, because it was the Chongyang festival, and surely his brothers would follow the traditions, would climb high and miss him. What else would they be doing? They would insert cha, a kind of plant which has a pleasant smell, which is called 茱萸, in their hair or clothes. 变 is everywhere. It is another custom on the Chongyang festival, and by wearing this plant, people believe that they would be protected by God and have an auspicious future. So this is 茱萸, what 茱萸is like. You wear it on your hair or on your clothes. So Wang Wei said he knew all his brothers would be going up to the hill and wearing 茱萸, but 少一人. 少 is to miss out. 一人 is one person. Who is it? Of course himself. He couldn't join his brothers this year, but equally his brothers would be missing him, and when celebrating the occasion would surely notice and think of the fact that their brother was not with them. So in these two lines, Wang Wei didn't really elaborate on how much he was missing his brothers, or vice versa, but merely by sketching a familiar scene, an imaginary scene from far away, implying how deep, strong, and true his emotion was. This indirect way of writing adds more weight and vibrancy to what the poet wanted to say. We have actually seen similar technique in 杜甫's 月夜. 今夜夫州月，闺中只独看。遥怜小儿女，未解忆长安。杜甫 didn't say he was missing his wife and children, but instead guessed how his wife and children might be doing. Same thing here with Wang Wei's poem. But technique aside, it is a true emotion that Wang Wei expressed so naturally, so seamlessly, that touches the very heart of readers for hundreds and thousands of years, especially this 每逢佳节倍思亲, almost becoming the synonym for loving and missing one's families and homeland. That's all for today. Thank you very much.